A massive 2-alarm fire shuts down a stretch of South Mendenhall Road at an apartment complex. Just ahead, we'll tell you just how many first responders showed up to battle the blaze.
We're here along the Mississippi-Alabama border, where even after Gordon's landfall, the waves continue to hammer the coast. What we found when we ventured into a Pascagoula neighborhood, straight ahead.
And ladies, have you spoken to your partners about their physical health lately? We'll speak with a doctor who says you play a much bigger part in your partner's health than you might know.
And take a look at this. These young men are smiling after fooling an entire restaurant. How that picture behind them played a big part in that prank. All of this and much more as Live at 9 starts right now.
From WREG in Memphis, this is News Channel 3 Live at 9.
Breaking news is first on Live at 9 this morning. We now know that the person found dead in a Whitehaven home was a breaking and entering suspect. Memphis police confirmed that in this tweet. Police got a call around 2:30 this morning for a possible home invasion on Stevens Circle, and when they arrived, they found out 3 armed suspects broke into the home. One of those suspects was shot and killed by someone in that home. The other 2 suspects fled the scene. We'll have much more of this story throughout the day. And we also begin with a very serious apartment fire in the Fox Meadows area.
That blaze broke out earlier this morning at the Cedar Mill Apartments. It's on Mendenhall. We appreciate you joining us for Live at 9. We'll have more on that story in a second. I am Mary Beth Conley.
I'm Alex Coleman. Glad to have you here with us. WREG's Troy Washington went out to that scene. And Troy, a lot of personnel were on that scene for the situation, right?
79 first responders showed up to battle the blaze at Cedar Mill apartment complex. We're told the call came in just after 5. I talked to a woman who says she drove through the apartment complex honking her horn and beating on doors. You can see there's some pretty extensive damage at the leasing office, but we are told no one was seriously hurt. One person was transported. All firefighters are fine. We are still working to find out the cause of the fire. We will keep you updated. For now, reporting, I'm Troy Washington, WREG News Channel 3.
All right, thanks so much, Troy, for keeping us updated. And we're going to change pace for a moment to the weather on this Wednesday morning.
Yeah, in just a moment, we will hear from WREG's Luke Jones, who is on the coast, just a few miles from where Tropical Storm Gordon made landfall. But first, Todd Demers joins us with your first forecast. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Mary Beth. Do you see behind me? This is the view from the Baptist DeSoto camera. It's kind of looking south. We've got some cloud cover beginning to roll in. That is the leading edge of some of the outer bands from Gordon that will likely be bringing us some rain over the next several days. Now, we have, of course, been watching that storm system very carefully, and right now, Storm Tracker 3S finding the center of that storm down around Jackson, Mississippi. And even though it's moving to the north and northwest, the big story is the heavier rainfall that's off to its east and trying to wrap into northern Mississippi throughout the day. Now, Gordon was indeed downgraded from a tropical storm to a tropical depression. That's the L. That's an area of low pressure now that'll move off to the east. But let me tell you, those heavier showers do have me concerned. I'm hoping we don't see any localized flash flooding, but across northern Mississippi, please stay alert to some rapidly changing conditions. I'm going to back it up here a little bit. This is a 24-hour loop. The storm actually made landfall just before midnight as a tropical storm. The winds were up to 70 miles an hour, but we didn't make it up to 75, so it did not get hurricane status across the Mid-South today. We will continue to feel the influence of what's left of Gordon. The clouds and the rain should keep our temperatures in the 80s, and while not a washout, our chances for scattered showers will remain elevated as we make our way through the next several days until that storm system officially dissipates. We're going to talk more of the timing of our rainfall for later tonight right here in the Mid-South with a much closer look at your forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, so let's take a little bit larger view of that. Gordon, as you just said, is now moving over southern Mississippi, heading towards southeast Arkansas. And WREG's Luke Jones is in Pascagoula, Mississippi right now, live just a few miles from where the storm made landfall before turning into a tropical depression. Luke, did the storm leave behind damage?
Right, we're here along the beachfront in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and you can see just behind me how intense some of the aftermath of this storm can be. Nothing like the 3 to 5 foot storm surge expected, but water's definitely spilling over here onto the beachfront over here along this bridge. They call it Buffet Bridge here in Pascagoula. and you could just see the water hammering the side of it, sometimes waves whipping up, licking that sidewalk. And we were driving around Pascagoula earlier this morning. Very minimal damage, if I'm being honest with you. Tropical Storm Gordon not leaving too much of an imprint on this community, but we did manage to find some downed tree limbs. We saw entire trees that had actually just keeled over, and residents actually sweeping that to the side, clearing the streets. Not yet clear if schools will be open this morning, and we haven't seen any power outages just from what we've seen around Pascagoula. Now, of course, that tropical storm making landfall sometime around 10:15 last night, somewhere between here and the Alabama border. The Alabama border, just to give you a sense, is about 10 miles from here. Not at all where experts were predicting it would land yesterday afternoon. They were saying then they expected it to hit around Long Beach, Mississippi, and that's 30 miles west of where we are. So we'll continue to monitor conditions here on the Mississippi coast, scouting out damage, and when we find more of it, of course, we'll bring it to you. In Pascagoula, Mississippi, Luke Jones, WREG News Channel 3.
All right, Luke, thank you very much. We'll be checking back in with you throughout the day right here on WREG. This morning, in a crime alert, a man is behind bars this morning accused of being a serial rapist. 24-year-old Kenyon Johnson is charged with 2 counts of aggravated rape. Police are investigating to figure out if he's responsible for any other sexual assaults. They say Johnson would meet the victims in person or on social media before luring them somewhere and then attacking them. Most of the attacks happen in the Raleigh and Frazier area. Johnson will face a judge tomorrow morning. Police are reviewing surveillance video from a very violent carjacking in the Hickory Hill area. It happened around 11:30 last night at the Murphy Express on Hickory Hill Road. The victim tells us she was getting gas when a man just walked up, got into her car, and then drove off. She tried to stop him, but that is when several other suspects drove up and started firing shots. Thankfully, no one was hurt. The police are working to identify the man who got away with the victim's 2008 black Lexus sedan.
And happening today, 8 new Shelby County commissioners will attend their first committee meeting since taking office last week. Commissioners will discuss several issues today, including a number of budget items and a proposed new contract with AT&T to enhance their computer security response program. Commissioners will elect officers for the next year at their first full meeting Monday. A local church is holding an event that focuses on supporting new mothers and families with children under the age of 5.
It's called the Riverside Sip and See Community Baby Shower. Pastor Reginald Boyce and First Lady Crystal Boyce are the brains behind this idea. Good morning. All right, right now we are following the latest out of Washington this morning. Legendary journalist Bob Woodward is causing conversation in Washington with his new book about the Trump presidency.
Laura Podesta tells us more about the excerpts that the White House is not happy about.
Another bombshell book about the Trump White House is being released, and already President Trump is refuting what's inside. The title is Fear, Trump in the White House, and it's published by Simon & Schuster, a division of CBS. The author is famed Washington Post journalist Bob Woodward. In a tweet, Trump said the Woodward book has already been refuted and discredited by General Secretary of Defense James Mattis and General Chief of Staff John Kelly. Their quotes were made-up frauds, a con on the public. In one excerpt, Woodward writes that Kelly said of President Trump, "He's an idiot. It's pointless to try to convince him of anything. He's gone off the rails. We're in crazy town." Defense Secretary James Mattis told close associates his commander-in-chief acted like and had the understanding of a 5th or 6th grader. Both Kelly and Mattis have denied making the statements. Woodward says the president was not made available to be interviewed for the book. This morning, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders spoke about it before reporters.
We've seen a few excerpts that have been pretty widely pushed back on by some of the most respected people in our country, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the book.
The book comes out September 11th. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
And this morning, President Trump tweeted some more, saying in part, quote, "Isn't it a shame that someone can write an article or book, totally make up stories and get away with it without retribution or cost? Don't know why Washington politicians don't change libel laws," end quote.
Well, moving on, the Southern Heritage Classic just around the corner this week. Up next, we'll tell you how this year's event actually makes history.
Your #1 9 a.m. newscast, News Channel 3, live at 9.